Oh my god, this video is half an hour long. It's okay, there's timestamps in the description, so just go to whatever part you need help with. Have fun! Let's begin by deleting the default cube, adding in a plane, and getting into top view, tab, scale it around 5 times, that's nice enough. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to move the camera down here, rotate it in this direction, and fix these values. So -10 seems nice enough. This can be, say, yeah, this can stay 5. Actually, make it 5. Actually, 4 even. 60, 60, 0. Let's make it 70. I want it to be a lower angle. 75. Alright, scale this along the X direction so it's outside of these edges over here. And then select this back edge, this one, extrude it upward. Around this much is good enough. Select that same edge once more. Oh, you guys can't see the buttons that I'm using for some reason. Well, now you can down here. Control B, bevel it out, use your scroll wheel, and so the larger that you make this, the smoother this will be. So I'm actually gonna make it pretty big and add in quite a few segments. Right click, shade smooth. And that's decent enough. Still need to fix the lighting, so I'm gonna move the lighting over here, rotate it so it's more to the left and less in, well, the up direction right now. And what I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna move this angle so it's a lower angle. And the reason I did that, I can actually show you guys soon enough, because I plan on using a black backdrop. So let's call this backdrop. And I want it to be pretty dark, not exactly black, but roundabout. So I would say 0.1, 0.05. Yeah, okay. So I added in a cube to show you guys the difference between the lighting that I'm using. So by default, or well, what everyone would do is something like this. And in all honesty, if your product actually needs lighting like this, then sure, go ahead. But what I'm planning for is something with a lot steeper lighting, where the lighting is just down on the ground. And that's nice enough. Now this can't be the only light, so select this. I'm gonna lower the strength down to say 3. Go into top view and duplicate it. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this back here, move an angle in like this. So I'm using this edge over here to drop this shadow. Let's lower this down to say 1. All right, that's nice enough. That's pretty good looking, not gonna lie. And that means this light can be brighter because I'm only using 1. Let's lower the roughness as well. So 0.4. What happens if I go full 0? Let's go 0.3 actually. I don't want there to be a glare back here. Is there anything else in this scene? No. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select this light, G, double tap Z and move it out of the way. Do the same to this one. And the camera I'm just gonna hide by pressing H or H or whatever you guys call it. Alright, so that's the basics done. Let's get to the actual lipstick now. Alright, so I'm gonna delete this default cube and add in another one. Yeah, okay. Move it up in edit mode, by the way, because I want the base to be, well, at the base. I mean, I want the origin to stay at the base. And then I'm gonna press S, Shift Z, and that will let me scale it this way. All right, that looks good enough. Now, I'm not actually tracing anything. I'm just making one from scratch. So most probably this doesn't exist in the real world. Anyway, let's get going. I'm gonna press numpad 0 key. Sorry, not 0 key. I'm gonna press numpad period, or well, the delete key, and that will let me zoom in and out with ease. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to extrude it up, and this will be our cap of sorts. So let's create another one here. There we go. And let's do the same down here, because lipsticks have, well, bases that can be rotated to take the lipstick out, or well, back in. All right, now I'm gonna select these faces. So go into face mode, select this and select this. I'm gonna press E to extrude them, press S to scale them, and Shift Z to only scale them in, well, the X and Y direction, and that blocks the Z direction. All right, so let's just scale it a bit again. There we go. All right, that's looking decent enough. Now I want these to have different materials, so I am going to Control plus, and as you can see, what that does is, let me just Control minus to show you, it selects the faces next to them. So this is going to be the default material. This is the default one. Let's not call it default though, let's call it lipstick base, and we're going to add in another one, call it lipstick highlights, and assign that one over here. Remember to assign it. Now if I change this color, it won't change the colors inside there. All right, now I want this cap to be metallic. Next up, what I want to do is change these highlights to something, say 0.1. So it's a different color, but not exactly, and change them to be metallic as well. Actually, if they're metallic, then they can be 0.5 even. Now there is something that I missed that is gonna cause some problems if I don't do it. So let's just select these faces, all of these faces, none of the other ones. All right, and press Control B, and we're gonna extrude them out. Actually, no, let's not extrude them out. Go into edge select mode, right click, edge bevel weight, and just max it out. So type +1 on your keyboard, and that's it. That should give them these nice highlights. And next up, add in a bevel modifier. You can add the bevel modifier from over here. I just have it added to my quick favorites. Increase the number of segments over here, and right click, shade smooth. So this is Future Wasik over here, and if you're following this tutorial step by step and you plan on completing it, keep going. Otherwise I missed a step over here that I fixed later in the video. Change the limit method to weight. Bye. Alright, and once you shade smooth, this will look a little bit weird, because technically it should be looking flat considering it's a flat surface. So it should be looking something like this, right? And yeah, you would be right. Come over here, harden normals. But for this setting to work, auto smooth must be enabled in object data properties. So come down here and turn on auto smoothing. The default value of 30 degrees is good enough in my opinion. But yeah, that's your basic lipstick done. I am gonna rotate it a little bit and see what it looks like when it's rotated. So yeah, okay, that's nice and all. Let's move on to, well, making the actual lipstick. Wait. What's lipstick? Is this thing the lipstick, or the thing inside it is the lipstick? Which one's the lipstick? Anyway, let's move on. Alright, so I'm gonna rename this thing and call it lipstick. And then I'm also gonna press M, create a new collection, and just call it sticks. And Okay, so now the lipstick is all the way over here. Let's move into top view and move it over here. I'm gonna duplicate it, Shift S, selection to cursor, so it gets moved over here in the middle. Move this one right around here, I guess. Anyway, let's fix some things. Not fix things per se, but I want this one to not have the cap, but I don't want the cap to be missing from the entire picture. I just want it to be on the floor next to it. So that's quite simple to do actually. Just select this thing up here, Control plus, and I'm gonna Control plus once more to select this edge as well, and press P to separate it, and there you go. Now this thing is a separate part. It's actually quite simple. Shift Tab, make sure this is set to faces, and just move it over here. All right, so now that is all the way down here. I'm gonna rotate it a little bit and just place it in front of it. This is easier to do from top view. There we go. And this still needs a face over here, so let's fix that now. I'm gonna select all of this stuff. Oh, actually, the face isn't supposed to be here, is it? But it doesn't matter, no one's gonna pay that much attention to it. Now, get into top view, and this is where the circle is gonna be, so I'm gonna press I again and inset once more. Right click, subdivide, do it a couple more times. Right click, loop tools, circle. All right, there we go. That's nice and simple. Let's scale it up a little bit. And right click, dissolve faces. Oh, sorry, press X and then dissolve faces. Now I'm gonna press I just to avoid any artifacts, and then go into wireframe mode and just extrude it down. Now, no one's ever gonna see inside the lipstick, so it doesn't matter how far down you'd actually take it, but yeah. All right, there we go, that's nice and simple. All right, so now we have another issue where this inside area isn't really, well, smooth. And I believe that's something we can't actually fix that easily. I mean, we can by just separating it and removing these bevel modifiers. There we go. Now what we can do is just parent it to this object. So now whenever I move this thing, that moves with it. Make sure to disable this magnet thing up here. All right, now I want to add in the lipstick finally. So that's actually equally simple. Just select these, well, the cylinder itself, Shift D to duplicate it, press Escape to put it back where it was, press P to separate it actually, and then yeah, there you go, there's your lipstick. Easy peasy, done. No, not really. I am going to select everything, scale it along the, well, X and Y axis, get this thing. Now select this top edge and get into front view and just extrude it up. And let's take a look at it from over here. All right, so extrude it up. Let's just extrude it up a little bit more. Move it in, well, scale it in actually, and extrude it up and scale it even further inside. Okay, now add in a face at the tip, and let's not poke it actually. Let's just do this. Okay, and now you'll ask, well, Vasik, this doesn't look like a lipstick at all. I'm gonna add in two subsurface divisions, so Control 2, and I'm gonna also add in a simple deform modifier. Move it up, change it to taper, and lower this value. Do something, say 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 is nice enough. Can I lock in the Y direction? Yes, I can actually. All right. Why did I lock in the Y direction? So it doesn't, well, look at it. Just look at it. It's really subtle. It's really subtle, but it doesn't taper it in the Y direction anymore, and that is this direction. Anyway, actually, I'm gonna change it to Y and lock it in the X direction, so that way I don't have to rotate it or anything. Now, this top edge over here, select this thing, and I am going to right click, edge bevel weight, and do the same thing. So give it a value of 1, and bevel, move this up and do it according to weight. Did I do that over here as well? I did not. Oops. So make sure you click that, change this to weight. After all, that was the whole point of doing all of these different edges. All right. Now, this one hasn't actually worked out yet. Move it to say 0.05. And I'm gonna actually scale this in. I'll scale it out actually. There we go. That's much better in my opinion. And do we even need the bevel? Oh, we do. Okay. Select this, scale it in. Okay, this one can be bigger, but not this one. There we go. Yeah, that's nice. Move it out a little bit. Alrighty, it's looking nice. I am going to, well, move this up a little bit, even though I don't have to, but I'm still gonna. Just in case for some reason someone, you know, does this. Okay, and finally I should be working on the material for, well, this lipstick over here. So click on it, and I'm gonna add in a new material. Well, actually, I don't have to. I'm just gonna give it a separate material in the first place. So over here, and let's make it red. Let's move it over here to red. And I'm gonna add in a little bit of subsurface. So 0.05, 0.02. And make this a bit darker. So it's just subtle. It's not really that big of a deal if you don't do it. And what I am gonna do is I'm gonna lower the roughness. Okay, so if you lower the roughness too much, this will happen. And I guess this is okay if that's the look you're going for. Well, don't do it 0 though, always have a little bit of roughness, or like 0.1 or something. But I'm not, I'm going more for a matte look. And I guess around 0.5 is fine. 0.6, this is more of a trial and error thing, so feel free to play along with, well, play with literally everything over here. You can even play with specular. Specular is really fun to play with, look. Barely any highlights, and if you move it up, yeah, it's a ton of highlights. Just a little bit darker. Okay. Now this tapering thing over here is not really the best right now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just select this edge. My bad. Select this edge and scale it up. There we go. Now it's actually looking decent. And finally rotate it. Something like this. Now this bevel over here is a bit too strong, so I am gonna turn it down. And the actual thing that's controlling the bevel is not that, it's actually this thing. I keep forgetting. All right, so that's the basic lipstick done. Now, I'm actually not happy with this thing's rotation, so can we rotate it back to, well, the default value? Yes, we can. And the reason I did that is because I want to rotate this. All right, so let's set up the scene now. Move this over here. And move this out of the shadow. Not by a lot, but just a little bit, just enough. All right, so that's it for this part. Let's move on. Okay, so now it's time for some branding, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add it to the caps over here. Now, I could add it to each of these individually, but that's a lot of work, so I'm just gonna delete this. I know, we just made it. I'm sorry. Now, let's get into, well, UV editing over here, and let's talk about UV editing. So we have this thing up here, this, what's it called? The top half. UV, unwrap. Now this entire, well, top half is this entire image, whatever image I put in over here. Black and white works amazingly, so I'm just going to put this in. Something else to think about is adding in another material for the top half. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to add in another material. I'm going to call it cap, and I'm going to click assign. So let's get into this view, and okay, so nothing's going on right now. Let's make sure the material's working. Okay, it is working. Get into shading over here, and you should have Node Wrangler enabled. You can find it in preferences and add-ons. So Control D, if you have Node Wrangler, it'll add all three of these things. Select that same image that we just, well, selected, and you'll notice, well, if I get into the top view over here, actually this should stay camera. You'll notice something over here. There we go. It's flipped. So this is something that's easily fixed with the, what's it called, UV map. So just rotate it by 180, and yeah, that's fixed. You don't need to worry about anything. Instead of rotating this object, it's just easier to rotate the UV map. All right, now I want this to have some effects. I don't want it to just be black and white. So let's do something. So something that you should know, white is 1 and black is 0. So technically, if I just connect this over here, it'll turn, well, the blacks into, well, ceramics, and the white bits into metal. So all of this is a metal now. That's nice and everything, but what about the colors? Can we change the colors? Yes, we can. A color ramp can help with that. Just change it to constant. Move this to around 0.5 just in case, and say I want everything to be red. There you go. You can have it as red. I don't want it to be red though. I want it to be black, and I want those bits, well, where the names are, to be white. That's a lot better. Now something else that I want is, one second. Something else that I want is, well, I want this to be etched in a little bit. So the easiest way to do that is to add in a bump node. So do this thing, connect the normal map over here, and connect this color to the height, and that will etch it in a little bit. I don't know if you can see this. I'm still going to try to show it to you. Okay, so from this, well, from this level of zoom, it looks really bad, but you can easily just see the effect. Oh, it's a lot prominent over here. Anyway, there's that done. Now, something else that I want is the roughness to be controlled. Now, it's easier to do this with a color ramp as well. So, the zeros are this thing, the ones are this edge. Take a look at this. The 1 is actually all of this stuff. I want that to be not rough at all, but not 0. So I'm going to change it from black to something like gray. Now I believe it's a lot easier for me to notice this if I get into this direction. There we go. And then this bit, I want to be, well, a little bit rough. So if I change it to black, this will happen. It'll not be rough at all. Okay. So that's something that doesn't really matter. It should not matter at all. Don't worry about it at all. Anyway, moving on. Now I want the cap to be on the ground still. Let's go back to my layout and fix that problem, shall we? Select the stop half, Control plus, Shift D to duplicate it, P to separate it, and there we go. It's a separate object now. Except it has some problems over here. Or well, I've never actually had that problem before. Anyway, I'm still gonna do the same thing over here. Instead, this time I guess I'll add in just one more. Duplicate this, separate object. Okay, that's a lot better now. And Shift G, move it over here, and then move it along there. And just rotate it. Okay, its origin is all the way over here, so origin to geometry. If you can't find origin to geometry, it's actually over here. Set origin to geometry. I just have it in my quick favorites because I keep using it all the time. I keep messing up the origins for different stuff. So, all right, so there's that done. Is that everything? Is that all that I wanted to do? Actually, let's render this and then figure it out. Be right back. So I rendered it and it looks really bad because this thing is just, you know, it's not rotated that much. So I'm just gonna rotate it a little bit, like something, yeah, something like that. Oh, also the light at the back isn't really doing much. So I am also going to, well, make it brighter for once. So for 1, make it say 5. And I'm also gonna increase the angle. Decrease the angle actually no, 10 is fine. If I change it too much, so if I change it to 50, this stuff becomes illuminated from that side. And although I really like this, I might keep that. But at a lower angle, so like 5 degrees, but change it to something like this. There's actually a lot going on. Can I move it in a spot where it'll cover this lipstick entirely and also be covered by this lipstick? Okay, let's turn this off though, it's messing with my stuff. All right, that's actually looking pretty interesting. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's move it into the center of the frame though, but I can't move those because I just set those up. Instead, I'm gonna move the camera for once in my lifetime. Move this camera, say, here. Okay, and now let's render it. All right, few things that are actually wrong with this. You can't see this, like you can't actually read it. This one is just straight up noise, but you know, we can't actually do anything about that unless we change the camera angles a little bit, which I feel like I will. And the other thing is this bit over here, it's causing problems. So okay, let's fix that. Also, I'm gonna change the slot. All right, so camera angle, let's fix that first. So it was 75, let's change it to around 60, and that means we're gonna have to move the camera up and up a little bit. Now this angle is, it might be too much, to be honest. It's not my, yeah, let's just move it back a little bit. There we go. Something else that we can do is we can put it on an indentation, but I don't want to. Indentation, I mean like put this on an incline, but yeah, I don't want to do that. Um, so instead, I'm just gonna change the lipstick and stuff and see if that fixes it enough. Make it a little bit thick over here. Control plus, a little bit thick over here. I'm also gonna play with the taper a little bit. So this taper, where is it? Over here. Say 0.25 instead. 0.1, 0.15. Okay, that's much better. And finally, I'm gonna move this around so it isn't actually causing that shadow that I hate. So it causes a shadow over here, but if I move it here, there's no shadow. All right, that's a lot better. And this light, to be honest, needs to be just... I really like this, but at the same time, no. It just causes too much problems. So that means I can actually place it back here. Let's just move it in a little bit. Or out. There we go. And make it a bit darker. See, I say darker, but I'm actually not trying to make it darker at all, am I? 0.05. And no. I know there are some lipsticks that look like that, but no. Yeah, I'm gonna actually play with the specular. I want to see what happens if there's like more renders. Interesting. So 0.1 would be nicer. Shade smooth. Was it not shaded smooth? I think it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that would be funny if it wasn't. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, let's just get rid of the subsurface, because in all honesty, it's a lipstick. It doesn't really have a lot of light passing through it. That's the whole point. It stops light from passing through it. So instead, I'm just going to change this to darker. Make it not reflect light. Apart from, say, the minimum amount. A clear coat? Do lipsticks have a clear coat? I mean, some of them do, but the glossy ones definitely do. No transmission. Okay, and finally the lamp itself, I believe, needs to be a bit different, to be honest. Let's make it, say, 3. And this surface needs to be a bit better at reflections. There we go. Not a metallic surface, please. No, still no. I'm still against metallic surfaces. I don't know why. Like metallic bases as reflections, for reflections. Should I give it a roughness map? No. No, Wasik, don't. Why am I doing this? Huh. It actually looks infinitely more realistic. Alright, let's render this out. I'm gonna change the... Actually, no, 1000 is fine. I'm gonna change this to 200% though. So, okay, let's render this out now. Alright, so this is the final render. And to be honest, there's a ton to improve. The material for the lipstick could be better. It could be made a bit thicker. And definitely add in a couple more lipsticks as well. By the way, this only took 5 megabytes of memory. So yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with this. Anyway, Thanks for watching, and yeah, make your renders better than mine and then show them to me, maybe? Question mark? Anyway, goodbye.